Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran and I like helping people using a spiritual perspective. So today guys, I'm coming to you live from a basement and with my shitty phone with its shitty audio, which I tell it every night. I tell my phone, you're a very shitty phone. Please be shitty tomorrow. And it does without fail. So I hope the audio is clear. I hope you can hear my nasally voice properly. In any case, let me know in the comments if you guys can hear it. Sometimes I got a little audio blip. I'm going to get a working camera one day or a better phone. But for now, I hope this does suffice. I hope you guys can hear me because, again, this is a message that today's video that I feel pretty strongly about. Not as strongly as I feel about milk chocolate versus dark chocolate, but still pretty strongly. So today, guys, what I want to do is break down the good vibes only culture. And what I want you guys to do, and the purpose of this video, is that you should really be avoiding these types of people. Okay? The good vibes only people are the exact kind of people that you should be avoiding on your spiritual journey. Okay? Because what this means, before we even go any further, is good vibes only is a culture of positivity only, positive vibes only. It's this sort of no nonsense, no negativity attitude that can only allow positive emotions, positive thoughts, positive feelings to basically almost with blinders on, right? So that everything has to have a positive spin on it. Another word for this is toxic positivity. Now, some of these examples that I can think of off the top of my head might be things where you experience some type of traumatic loss or a sudden change in your life. Maybe a parent dies, so maybe you've gotten broken up with, maybe you quite literally have spilt all of your milk and you really wanted a bowl of cereal. But these people will respond in kind with some sort of pithy spiritual platitude, which really does little to help you in any way. In fact, their goal seems to not be to necessarily help you as much as it is to get rid of any possible negativity from the scenario. Okay, so an example would be you've lost your loved one. Let's go with the serious one rather than the milk. So you've lost a loved one, and they might respond with something like, "Oh well, make sure that you're, there's always a hidden blessing in things. There's always a good, your parent dying is part of the plan." They throw out these types of attitudes and scenarios, which really does very little, again, to actually help you or connect with you or listen to you. Whereas a better response might be to give you a hug, or if they can't, to listen to what you're going through or to talk to you, okay? Because that's really what you need in the moment, rather than just pretending there is no negativity at all and to only focus on what might possibly be a good benefit, right? And in theory, because it sounds wise, right? To look at things as glass half full with this positive, optimistic attitude. But what it does when you only focus life through that sort of lens is that you ignore and repress all of the other emotions and feelings that we label negative because they are part of life. Every perspective has different levels of pain and experiences and negativity that go along with it. Obviously, somebody living in the slums of Baghdad has different pain and different problem than I do. I would consider the pains and problems that I have to be better problems and better pains, but they are still problems and pains in relation to my perspective because that's my life. Whereas the life of somebody living in Baghdad, pains and perspective is very different. Okay, it's not better or worse in the sense that my pain isn't good. It's just different, and my relation to it seems to me, in my eyes, better. Right? But good vibes only would be this blanket statement across the board of just absolute positivity, right? And so these good vibes only people essentially use spirituality, right? Which is where that wisdom seems to come from, which is why it seems so appealing to people, and they use it to cover any negative emotions, any negative thoughts and feelings with this idea that everything must be positive all the time, which is just not true. Life is inherently imperfect. Therefore, nothing can always be positive. And if everything was always positive, everything would be boring. And if everything was boring all the time, which is to say comfortable, you would never actually grow and you would never get to look back and feel any amount of pride or happiness or a sense of achievement after having completed some difficult phase in your life, right? So the good vibes only culture is something that is huge among the New Age spiritual, people in the world, right? This New Age movement, it's basically propagated with the idea that everything must have a silver lining to it. Everything must be happy, right? So the good vibes only people often get very, very angry and very mad with you when you basically challenge them, right? It's something that you really do begin to notice when you're surrounded by those people who only want to look at things positively, is that they don't take constructive criticism very well. Okay, now, I've had even friends that only ever want to look at things through positive circumstances, and what that does, and the real crux of that is that their own life, the negativities that are in their life, are not being dealt with. Okay, because the negativities in your life show you where things are off. So if you're only ever positive and you only ever want to look at things through a positive lens, then you're not going to get to see the issues. Okay, because I've known very spiritual people, whatever that means between me and you, that have clear problems within their life. And it's funny too, because the most people that I've met that are good vibes only are the ones that have the opposite of the kind of lifestyle that I want to live. A lot of them bounce around, a lot of them are always having money problems, a lot of them are have undefined boundary issues in relationships, because I've known people like that. Three or four good vibes only people, I've known them to have lives that don't reflect the kind of life that I would want to live, right? And anybody can have those types of problems, but it's only the specific kind of good vibes only people that really just want to focus on the positivities of their life. So rather than deal with the fact that they keep attracting abusive men into their life, or abusive women into their life, they might want to only focus on the fact that life is great. Oh, I'm alive. How wonderful. Whereas their life, their quality of life, doesn't actually seem to be too good. But because they have to focus on something positive, because that's this sort of pitfall of spirituality, is positivity only, they are unable to deal with the issues and the negativities and the problems that are actually part of their life to get themselves a better manifestation of what they're really trying to bring in, right? So the good vibes only culture is something that harms people more than it does help them. And that's really what I'm making this video for, is I don't want you to get dissuaded whenever you feel partially negative because something is happening in your life, and then you go to the wrong people for help. You go to the wrong people for advice, and you go to the wrong people as sort of someone to listen to you. Okay, because a good friend, a good person, somebody who really understands what you're going through, a good therapist, let's say, for example, they're going to listen to you and ask the right questions. Okay, because asking questions leads you, the individual, to the truth and to the answers that are usually already within you. A good teacher always asks questions. Somebody who is not having your best interest at heart, even though it appears to be that way with all their positive, quote unquote, wisdom, those people aren't going to be asking you questions. They're going to be simply telling you information. It's not really going to be about listening to you. It's going to be about just shoving that information down your throat. And I've known lots of people like that, and I think that in the past I've even fallen into this trap. And it's an easy trap to fall into, again, because it almost, again, it paints itself as a lot of wisdom being portrayed. There's so much wisdom to be had in this idea of good vibes only, right? To plow through life with the horns of a positive rhino. But it doesn't work like that. And so that wisdom, upon even a deeper glance, really starts to fall apart when you realize that a parent dying, or the loss of a relationship, or a sudden job ending and now you've got nowhere to stay, can't really be handled and can't be dealt with by just shoving away those negative feelings and reactions that you feel right away due to the initial incident. It's not going to help. And if anybody tells you otherwise, I'm sorry to say that they're not really there to help you. Okay, because the good vibes only people, they send out a weird vibe. Okay, and you may notice this, and I'll give you a good example from my own life. The good vibes, I have a friend, and I don't think he watches these, but if he does, then it's you. And anyway, he's used to be my best friend in high school. Okay, and he's a good guy, a very good guy, but he seems to shift between being a Christian and being like a not Christian, okay? And it seems like the idea of believing in a higher power has to come with this element of super positivity, super good vibes. Like it has to come with that for him. Otherwise, like it's almost like he seems like he's failing God or something. I'm not too sure, but when he's like regular old person, like just a regular version of my friend without this supersized idea of religion and God and spirituality, he's very normal, very level-headed. He's never been much of a cursor anyway, but he allows himself to sometimes curse. Like he allows himself to look at things rationally, and there's some negativity, but there's also this a general and a genuine type of positivity inside of him. It's always been there, okay? And he's a good person, and he really is. But when he becomes a Christian, when he becomes this new age sort of, not new age, sorry, like born again Christian, he's not spiritual in the way that we might be connecting right now, but Christian, right? This born again type of Christian, which he seems to, again, go back and forth between every year or so. He then becomes like very, very positive all of a sudden. And if I try to talk to him and say, yeah, man, like I'm going through some tough times, some bad, like I'm losing my girlfriend or, something's happening, right? He would basically just brush that all aside and try to say, oh, well, here's the positive. Look at this, look at that, look at this. And it's like, that's not really what I'm trying to hear. You know what I mean? Like, I already understand that I'm going to be okay, like through a deep perspective, but I'm going through some heavy emotions, and you have to go through heavy emotions to get to the other side. You can't just bypass them. You can't skip all of the heavy emotions and then get to the land of freedom and promise and hope and love and all that other, pithy stuff. You have to go through the river of shame and self-hatred and self-deprecation and sadness and grief and depression. You have to move through it. Some people get stuck there, but you do have to move through it. You have to find ways to move through that river because there is a positive side. There is more freedom on the other side of that. Absolutely. And that's where we get that wisdom, because it's almost like we realize that there's this positive place over here, but then there's this negative stuff right here. And what people do is, like, because they realize there's an outcome of this, they want to just get there. They want to take shortcuts, right? And this is the thing that spiritual people do the most, myself included. This is a topic for another day, though, is what we do is we want to bypass negativity. We don't want to deal with it. We think that we can take shortcuts on our spiritual journey. And I've seen this plenty of times. Most of the good vibes only people are the ones that are almost branding themselves with the identity of spirituality. These are the people that are always, that have 1,000 crystals in their home, that are always, talking about yoga, the vegans, the vegetarians, the people who always have to bring spirituality into every conversation. They've got the weird hair, the weird designs. They've got, everything. Just, you see them upon first glance and you're like, wow, that person is spiritual, and you can just tell, okay? And it's almost like a parody of what being spiritual means, right? And you can find plenty of parody videos on YouTube. There's an episode of Seinfeld. I don't know if you guys have seen Seinfeld, but there's an episode of Seinfeld where like Jerry and George and Kramer go to Kramer's friend, some like spiritual guru guy, to help George out, and it's like this parody, and like this guy's talking about weird stuff in order to heal George, like just very weird stuff, and the people are always, of course, about astrology and all these new age concepts, which in and of itself isn't bad. It's just altogether they've branded themselves with this identity. And these are the people that are always trying to take shortcuts. These are the people that are always trying to, do ayahuasca, do combo, do bufo, do all these weird spiritual medicines in order to circumvent something and claim that drugs are this life-changing event, and yet, all these spiritual practices are life-changing events, and yet they have to keep doing them. And by default, that doesn't make too much sense. If you have to keep doing, mushrooms or ayahuasca to change your life, it's probably not that life-changing of an event. If it's life-changing, it should happen once. Oh, shit, my life's changed. Well, that was great, thank you. But it doesn't work like that. You can't shortcut things, and good vibes only people want to shortcut negativity. So you want to avoid those types of people. What you do want to bring into your life is spiritual people who are grounded and present, who are able to help you navigate through your own emotional bullshit, because you want that. You want somebody to help you take you through your own river of darkness, okay? Because that's the goal. A lot of people aren't willing to even deal with their own darkness, And there's nothing wrong with that. It's very hard. I'm the same way. It's hard to deal with the shadows of your own subconscious. Okay, those things are what are running and ruining our life a lot of the time. And it helps to have other people. So if you're look, even if it's just simple advice, you want to go to the people who can help you navigate those emotions, not suppress them, get rid of them. But you don't also want somebody pessimistic, right? This isn't a video to open up your world into pessimism and to just make you as negative as you could possibly be. Absolutely not. I wouldn't want that for you guys. Wouldn't want that for myself. The goal is just to be balanced with it. Feel your emotions. Avoid the people who only want to feed you positivity pizza. Put it down. Go get some regular pizza. You know, the kind that gives you heartburn. Go get some of that and then realize that maybe you shouldn't eat pizza every day for dinner, but there's nothing wrong with pizza itself. Okay? There's a good, healthy balance that can be found by dealing with your negative emotions and also bringing in good things into your life. Okay, so the good vibes only culture, you'll know it when you see it, and I'm sure if you watch this video to this part, this time right here, you probably understand what I'm talking about. And they just give off a very weird vibe. You can feel it intuitively. You kind of feel like it's very insincere. Yeah, something intuitively tells you that they're not really helping you, even though like you feel maybe that you need to agree with them, but that you're just not getting it all the way, right? So you'll understand what I'm talking about here. Avoid that culture. Avoid all those types of people as much as you can on your spiritual journey, and there's going to be a lot of them. And try to ground yourself. Try to present yourself as somebody who is multifaceted. Don't identify spirituality as part of yourself. Okay, that's only going to make you look kind of foolish. It's reminds me of the Japanese classes I used to take in college. I used to major in Japanese. Spent like 4 or 5 years mastering the language, and then one day I was like, oh, this is so stupid, and I just quit. I don't want to go to college. And so, but I remember taking all these Japanese classes, and I liked the language. I still do. I liked the culture, which I still do, and I liked watching anime, which I think I still do actually from time to time. Not as much as I used to when I was 19 or 20, but from time to time I still watch anime. So I like Japan in of itself. I like what it presents. I love the food. I love the culture. I like the people I meet. I like the language. I like the history and whatever, right? I like it. And I was able to like that quite normally. Right? I just enjoyed it. But there were so many people in that class that dressed up as anime characters. Like they would just go to school dressed up as anime characters. And that seemed very inauthentic to me because it seemed unnecessary in relation to the actual person itself. Like overcompensation, right? It seemed to me that the people in those Japanese classes were unable to like anime, but also other things. They chose to identify with one thing in particular, and that became their identity. And you couldn't talk to them about anything else but anime. And because of that, their personality seemed only one-sided. They weren't able to communicate very effectively about a large range of things and topics, and they were all, mostly, not all of them, quite awkward to talk to. So, in that regard, you can find that with spiritual people all the time, people that only can understand when you talk to them in weird new age terms, and who will always have to bring spirituality into every part of your conversation, who always have to give you the most positive outlook that you could possibly have forced down your throat at any time, not wanting to deal with your negative emotions or any negativity at all. So I hope this video, I think that's a thing, but I hope this video resonated with you guys. I hope that it brought you some information that maybe you were not privy to. I've dealt with these people before. I felt like an idiot because I felt, or not even an idiot, I felt kind of shameful because it didn't resonate. Like, should I be more positive? Should I be this type of person that they are? But it didn't resonate with me. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't make my emotions go away. It didn't help. Not really. So I feel like I'm connecting here based on my own experience, but obviously I'm not some person who has all the answers in life. I know very little. Mostly I only know about weird, obscure Asian history and English chocolate. So other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I'm going to do some more of these videos in the future here, get back into YouTube. But I hope you guys liked it. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.